Disclosure. Before you partake any of this show the wrong way, just know that these are my thoughts of my journey and my conversations with our good Lord. So if you really have any harsh issues, please address them to the big man upstairs. Other than that, stay blessed. Hey, welcome back. Otis Stale from the Otis Stale Jr. Show. Episode 5, guys. I can't believe I'm keep on going. And yes, you know what? I can't believe because you know what? It's all him. Last episode was episode 4. It was an interview episode. You guys make sure you like it, share it, and just check it out, man. Mendoza, he's a character, man. It's always something with him, but it's a good man, and it's a very inspiring story. So you guys make sure you check that out. All right. Brought to you by, this is episode 5, brought to you by, of course, God himself, and any future sponsors that would like to, help me grow. I really appreciate any of that, and I look forward to see who is all in it to win it, for the future wise. Starting with the intro, I like to start off with a Happy New Year, everyone. Just make sure that don't make it where, the new year is the new me. No, man, a new you could be the morning of any day. You know what I'm saying? You could be refreshed and awake and awoken anytime when he touches, your spirit. You know what I'm saying? So anytime's a good time to start rehabilitating, refreshing, mind, body, and soul. And so you always want to be better than you were yesterday, last month, last, year. And so I really recommend finding ways to better yourself. Uh, my daily devotion has been on fire the last few days, mostly because I got the 2 new devotional books. I got one for personal growth. It's a little journal. Man, I love it. I'm digging it. I've learned some things. I want to talk about it in the daily devotions, but my daily devotion right now is under another book. That one's under relationships, and so that way, you could grow with him, with your spouse, with your partner, with your sister, with your brother, your mom, or your dad. And so I really recommend checking those out, man. Daily devotions on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Go ahead and check those out. Daily devotions on the Otis Stale Jr. Show on all platforms. I really recommend doing so. It just feeds your soul, man. And it really has been. There's been days where I don't go and I do it in the afternoon or I do it in the evening. And man, it's just like breakfast, man. The sooner you do it, the more you're ready, prepared for that day. You know what I'm saying? And so I really recommend checking those out and putting those and sharing those. And you might not need it, okay? But if you share it and then there's somebody who's down the road sees that, your feed and actually accepts it and it shines some light on them, you're helping yourself, man. You're helping them. You're helping the Lord. And so thank you. Thank you for doing so, man, because you don't know who needs this, man. Sometimes I need it personally. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm doing this a lot, is to keep myself accountable and keep myself positive and upbeat and loving, even though I am like that naturally. But man, when you get older, as y'all probably know, it gets harder, man. The challenging, being a father, being a leader in the house, and being the man of the house, and yes, my wife does very much, and we're a team. But you know what I'm saying, just like one of these books I'm going to promote here in the next couple of weeks, man. When you're the man, you got to be the leader, man. And so I really recommend people following these daily devotions and get fed up with it, man. I mean, and I don't mean fed up as like I'm tired of it. I mean fed up, like getting fed and just getting full with it and just wanting to share. You know what I'm saying? And so I really recommend doing so because I really appreciate all that, because we are all seeds, and with every seed we grow, we promote more flowers and more fruits, so that way they can bear more seeds, and then it goes on more and forward. So that's when somebody has the seeds in their hand, they ask, what is it? And people will, oh, it's a seed. No, it's a forest. But they don't see that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what potential is. It's like faith. It's something that you don't see, but you believe in, right? So I really recommend checking those daily devotions and really check out these episodes, man. It really helps you out, because what this is, okay? Don't let the holy fool you, okay? Because just because it's holy and righteous, it doesn't mean that it's perfect, and it doesn't mean that it's goody good two shoes, okay? Because what this show is about, it's a real, upfront, loving, fair, but funny and entertaining to be saved, man. Okay, that's all this is. Because we could joke with the best of them. All right, man, it's just the way it is. I could, the Lord has a sense of humor. He surely does. I mean, look at the world it is, right? But no, man, I really recommend you guys pass this on and share it and really soak this in. Really, really feed up to it, because yes, I'm doing it for myself, but I'm doing it for you, man. I'm doing for that person who doesn't feel like they're righteous. I'm doing for that person who doesn't feel like they should be alive. I'm doing for that person who doesn't feel like they're loved. Man, I'm doing for those people that freaking want to commit suicide, bro. Put that shit down. Put that pill down. Put those, the cord around your neck down, man. You don't need that shit. All you need is a good book and your soul, okay? But you got to be ready for that, man. And if you're not ready for that, and you have some deep, down, man, seek some help. But talk about it, brother. You know what I'm saying? Or sister. You know what I'm saying? I read something that was a perfect little message. It says, "Fix the child within before you ruin the child that you create." You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of our problems come from childhood. All right. But the thing is, we don't want to face it because it's hurt. And that leads me to my next part of the thing, the message of the week. All right. The time is now. All right. We keep on giving ourselves excuses or even get good enough to even start lying to yourselves to make yourself feel better. You know what I'm saying? About the lie or even the way of life. Then you justify it by, enough to handle it in different ways. You might handle it in drugs, alcohol, gambling, or any other self-sabotage routine that you do. Now, we postpone any attempt of healing only to avoid the pain that we have to face, which is the truth. You know what I'm saying? Any hurt, which is the truth, that we try to cover up. It's just like when people try to clean their house and sweep under the rug. You know what I'm saying? Instead of sweeping, out or picking it up and throwing it away, you just sweep it under the rug. I ain't worrying about it. I'm going to put it away later, or I'll sweep later. I'm just going to do so. Well, guess what happens after you sweep under the rug so much? You know what I'm saying? Just think about it. Look at it. Look at a rug and you're sweeping under it, right? What does that rug does, right? It gets bumpy. Okay. It gets, hilly. It gets, people, right? And with any dust, just like over time, after time it gets swept up, it accumulates into clutter. And with any clutter over time, inevitably in life, people start tripping over little things. Anything that's insignificant. Traffic. I stubbed my toe. Anything that will open that little, that rug, and then you start tripping and get mad about anything. So that's why I say, feel good about when you express yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because once you do so, your clutter's going off. So now is the time you get help and go talk to somebody or build your foundation with him. Okay? Because we are not promised tomorrow. So stop tripping over anything that does not matter, because it doesn't. All right. If you're the kind of person who avoids that want to fix that problem, instead of sweeping it out of your house, out of your life, in the first place, when you have a deeper issue, you should seek some help. Okay. Because if you're not trying to get better and you want to be in that routine and rut and that, you know what I'm saying, then there's a deeper issue. And I really recommend finding somebody and getting some help, because that's not right, man. It is not right not wanting to feel better about your life. Everyone should be loved. Everyone should feel loved. It's a choice, okay? Not wanting that. And what I mean is, I know you wake up and you feel that way and stuff like that. So that is not a choice, but it's what you do about it is your choice, okay? So that's what I recommend doing is finding something that you do something about it, all right? Because he died for each one of us. Not just me, not just for her, not just for him, not just for the people at the church, for everyone. All right. He died for the people in the prison. He died for the people who actually, who murdering somebody. He did, you know what I'm saying? He dies for all of us. Now it's your side that needs to be awoken and be ready for the receive, because with love is giving. Okay. God is love and love is giving. Okay. So when you have a giver and love, the other side needs to be just as on the same page so they can receive that same love. That's why you see a lot of couples and a lot of relationships not going well, because one person loves where the other one is either using them for something else or not, not loving them the same way. So, you know what I'm saying? So once you get two people loving, and that is true love. And that's what God created us to do, to receive that love, because he wanted a family. You know what I'm saying? He wanted a family. He made us. He made man. And I don't mean just man from, like me, but he means mankind, because mankind was spirit. All right. Spirit, there's no gender with spirit. Okay. So that's why he creates for mankind. Then the male and female down the road, what he wanted to do. So I really recommend doing so, man. Fixing yourself, because life is too short. You never promise tomorrow, and you want to fix like I said, the inner child before you create child and start messing up their lives. The next segment of our live, or our discussion, would be the 2024. We are entering 2025. So to recap 2024, I'm going to go over a couple of things that major things that I felt like are things that we could, go talk about in the future, and actually be ready and concerned. The first topic of the 2024 was the AI. My big question is, man, is it to help or hurt our society? Because both astound and concern the people with its growth and revolution. Okay, they use analytics, analyze genetic conditions. They improve healthcare, create manufacturing efficiency, and many more. That's what AI does. But the way they do so is kind of different. So the main discussion that's having with the whole AI is the growth, which I believe it should be talked about more and more. Is on whether and how to regulate AI. Because I know there's movies out there, and they're just movies, but they start from somewhere. You know what I'm saying? They start from someone's books, someone's minds, someone's ideas that are telling us something. So some say the AI could be gender bias. So this is what I was talking about, how so much that you could get from the AI. So with some data they create and they have and to accumulate, a lot of it, like for example, gender bias. When you look up AI and you look up a schoolgirl versus a schoolboy, unfortunately, with the schoolgirl, people have the thoughts of sexualized nature, right? Where the schoolboy, you see a little picture of a little boy with the schoolboy with the little goofy shorts and whatnot. But why is that? It's because how many people clicked on the internet to look for those kind of schoolgirls and stuff like that. And that's the kind of data that we're assuming from AI. You know what I'm saying? Or if you look up the greatest leaders of all time, and because the fact that we have so much clicking on as males as leaders, that's all you're going to see. You know what I'm saying? Where's the women? I know there's women great leaders out there, but where's they at? Well, apparently there's not enough data that was created by clicking things, with information. So technology being so easily influenced, it's kind of somewhat to think about what we can do and what we can use for the AI. Another big part of our year this has happened, man. 2024 is the major wars. In the Bible, it talks about that, so it's all part of Revelation. Sorry, but a big couple ones was Russia taking over the Ukraine again for so many days. Again, Israel over Gaza. They had their issues, and so there's quite a bit of different wars going around the U.S. So prayers for all those, and make sure the righteous wins, because we need more soldiers for the Lord to come across the world. And some politics, some Democratic parties, it's not about that. You know what I'm saying? So we definitely need more positive. Wars are not good to overall have, but sometimes we are needing in those to overcome evil. So I really do so on that. A big part of all the wars and stuff that people need to talk about is what they called, the four of them is the Quartet of Chaos, or also known as the Axis of Autocracies. If I mispronounce it, please, my bad. But it's China, North Korea, Iran, and Russia. I don't know if you guys know, man, but those four have been kind of somewhat of I don't know, man, enemies. And apparently they have records of showing that they're sharing files and secret, and so I feel there something that we got to be aware of, man. Definitely keep an eye out on that. You obviously seen that movie Red Dawn. Again, like I said, these movies are movies, but they tell us something. You know what I'm saying? There's meaning in there. They start from books most of the times, and so books start from people's thoughts, and same thing as movies. So I really recommend checking that out and just being ready for whatever, and say prayers. And like I said, man, I know we can't really worry about China, North Korea physically, about those countries, but we could do our things here. We could educate people. We could talk about it. We could pray. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about, what you can do. Other than that, if you prayed and once you do that, that's all you can do. You know what I'm saying? And, along with advocacy and talking about it and spreading the word, but worrying about it doesn't do anything about it. All right. So I don't recommend worrying about it, like I said. So prayers on that. Related to countries, like I mentioned, the rise of electoral democratic way of the world has overcome more and more. There is approximately 80 countries, and that's about 4 billion people that conducted national elections. Okay, this is huge, guys. I'm talking about there's some countries that has not done so in 40 years. So right now, 8 out of the 10 most populated countries had a change of government. We had Bangladesh, Brazil, Pakistan, Russia, okay, India, our neighbors Mexico, and including ourselves with the big change with Trump taking over again. And I have another segment on that, but coming up. But no, man, a huge thing. Another big countries like UK, France, and Japan are kind of like Japan is one of the ones that who had their party like 30 to 40 years, and now we have a change. Man, I'm telling you, God is good all the time and anywhere. You know what I'm saying? He's touching everything and everything he can, because that's what he does, man. So I'm really excited of what the world's going to be coming up. Hopefully, of course, because of the good and what we are doing of changing. Some of those countries don't even know about the change, and so it's a big revelation and a revolution for both sides. One losing power, the other gaining power. There was another one in South Korea, if I'm not mistaken, where they had like a martial law going down there, and they're all tripping about that. So if the world's getting interesting, it's always been interesting, but it's even getting more to the more of the biblical state. You know what I'm saying? And we could actually see it now, and that is, I mean, if that's not the truth, then I don't know what are you guys are waiting for. It's crazy. We had locusts already. We had storms, and we have sicknesses. I mean, what else do you need to believe? You need him to knock on your door and say, hey, man, I'm Jesus. I'm here. Is that finally? And you know what? Sad thing is, half of you guys will probably say, nah, that's not you. You know what I'm saying? And so you guys need to wake up, man, because tomorrow's not promised. So I really recommend doing that. Another part of 2024 was crazy sports and crazy situations. So I'll break down on a little bit of over about them. By all means, feel free to give your comments and break it in or chime in or do what you want to do on this areas, or let me know that there's a major event that you felt like I should have mentioned and I didn't. So my bad. But the Olympics was huge, crazy 2024 Olympics. That was fun from anything from the sports, and I'm laughing because I don't know if you guys seen the breakdancing part, but go check out the breakdancing highlights and you'll see why I'm kind of doing a little giggling. But no, man, the USA won basketball. The way they did it was a beautiful game. You can tell other countries are coming up. One, by how many other international players are in the NBA, and two, how good this Olympics are going. The World League. It's amazing, man. But the USA was able to dominate, and there was what I liked about it is they played team ball, but at the end it was again, they put their game depending on the two mega stars, three with KD, but Steph and good old LeBron did their thing and brought the gold back home. That was awesome. Another crazy thing related to basketball was the Caitlin Clark. The way she took over WNBA, the way she was finishing college. I haven't seen anything like that since probably Jordan. And I was a little young when the Jordan thing came around, but it was amazing, man, what he's done. Maybe like Tiger Woods, to be honest with you. I was 16 when Tiger, hello world. And so that's kind of like that, man, and what she's been doing. I didn't want to be all like, man, all in it, but that girl's filthy, man. And not that I didn't want to give her props, but I felt like in the last 10, 15, 20 years, there's been just as much as, every girl has been good, Parker, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry if I couldn't name any on top of my head, but, it's been like that for some years, good 15, 20 years. They just, had somebody who's been doing a little bit, better and stronger and throughout. And I guess the points made a big difference. Couple other major things, of course, in 2024, unfortunately, some natural disasters. It was really sad across the world. There were some other events that didn't happen that I didn't mention, but please forgive me. And like, again, please chime in. But a couple of them that I did look up was kind of interesting, man. Japan had a crazy earthquake. Over 250 people were dead on that one. A big flood killed over 1,000 people in Afghanistan and Pakistan. And that was 1,000 people. You know what I'm saying? That's amazing. It's sad. It's a crazy number. And it's prayers and prayers for that family for healing, man, for each one of those, because it's not just that one loss. It's their sister, it's their brother, it's their dad, it's their cousin, it's their friend, it's their neighbor that has to do with that loss. So prayers for all that, man, because it's a lot. It's a lot. As some of you guys have to deal with yourselves. Another big one that I was reading about is in Papua New Guinea. A landslide buried 2,000 people alive. Man, that's double that flood. And so prayers to that family as well, and to those dealing with that. That is an amazing thing that we are working 9 to 5, 10 to 6, or whatever, and clock in, clock out, and get mad about this, get mad about that. But all around the world, there's things that we don't even see or hear about until later, and yet we complain about this and we complain about that. So let that shit go, man. There's bigger problems out there. All right. So let go, let God. That's a one. That's the 4 words that will give you such a stress-free life. Let go, let God. Because if anything that you can't touch, oh look, this laptop is closed. I mean, open. Let me close it. That's a problem that I was able to fix. All right. Man, this there's 1,000 laptops that got stolen. Out of so and so. Well, I can't do nothing about that, right? Okay, so I'm gonna let go and let God, and let God deal with with that situation. I know it's silly to say, man, but I'm telling you, it works for every little, from any little problem to any major problem. So I really recommend trying tools like that to overcome the negative that you hear from one side. Because I know you hear the other side saying, hey man, let that go, it's gonna be all right. I got you. But no, we act flesh and we're like, no man, forget this. God doesn't believe me. All right, that's called faith. You know what I'm saying? Believing in something that you can't see. All right. So that's a huge thing, man. A couple other things, major things in 2024. Then Ozempic, that was kind of funny in a way where it just shows what the American culture really cares about. You know what I'm saying? Because that is only for, apparently I was reading, for I think type 2 diabetics. But people were using it for diet reasons, to lose some pounds. Come on now, man. Put that damn fork down and go run. You know what I'm saying? Do some push-ups or something. Cause damn, man, you're going to a Ozempic, a diabetic, medicine to lose weight. That's, yeah. Come on now. A couple of other medical breakthroughs was huge, man. I didn't know some of these until I was reading some content to put up. The pig kidney transplant. It was successful. It was a trip. It was a kidney from a pig to a human. And a little bit in details, it was, to survive. They're doing good. But apparently what they're able to do is take out the DNA out of the pig and put human DNA in it. And apparently that allowed the kidney to, function with the rest of the body and get it going. And man, I'm a big believer, okay, that God sets the rules, right? But God also gave us, mind and intellect and tools to do so. So if it's somebody that needs some help now, if God has them going on the year 2025, I don't care what transplant you're going to do. I don't care what miracles you're going to have to you. Okay. Because if God wants you and he's ready for you to become the next step, then he'll take you, man, from a car accident to a plane falling or to, getting struck by lightning. So, yes, better yourself, but make sure you do what you need to do on this earth before before it's your time. You know what I'm saying? So that's my thing on that. You know what I'm saying? And other people, saying, oh, why are we playing God? No, man, I don't think we're playing God. And then, in fact, God wants us to be like him. So he's going to want us to do miracles and create things like that. I feel, you know what I'm saying? Another one is crazy, is cool, is kids getting hearing, they're restored by gene therapy. I was reading a study about, man, mass something. I'm sorry. And I'll get better with my references and my information that I get. But these guys are actually getting kids. I think they have 5 out of 6 kids got their hearing back, and they're doing this by gene therapy. And so I don't really know what gene therapy is, but I kind of have an idea. But it is shots they give them and so on. And so hopefully that's a new way of getting better hearing. Being one person with bad hearing, to me that's a beautiful miracle, man. Because with sight and hearing, it's a blessing. So people are not appreciated as much as they should. You know what I'm saying? So when you do your walks, listen to that bird, watch that tree, look at those leaves, check out the colors, really take that in, man, because so many people are blind and deaf that don't have that ability. And we take it for granted. We surely do. Another big one is a drug that they produced and they okayed from the FDA. They hasn't made, this drug is for schizophrenia. Okay, they haven't made a drug this productive or this change of life in about 30 years. And so what it does is it helps with people with schizo, and it doesn't affect the other other side effects like the motivation and some other things that it calms down with the brain activity and doesn't allow you to hear voices and whatnot. And so I pray that this drug really helps people because people think when they hear schizophrenia, it's a bad word or it's like a bad name, man. No, man, it's just another sickness that somebody has to overcome. Like dementia and and stuff like that, man, or like hearing and stuff. It's just another hurdle that somebody needs to attempt. So when you hear somebody's like that, uh, ask more questions or try to don't shine them away. You know what I'm saying? Try to be their friend, man. God brought that person in your life for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And so make sure you try to help them and be their brother or sister that you need. They need you to be. You know what I'm saying? A couple at the end of the 2024, we'll talk a little bit more about the crazy happenings between a couple people. A couple major ones, of course. Like I said, if I forgot anybody, please forgive me and go ahead and chime in and go ahead and put it in the comments. But a couple ones took over the news was, of course, as y'all probably know, the P. Diddy thing. The whole, he's allegedly under sex trafficking and so on. Man, my personal belief, he's just the goat or the scapegoat. You know what I'm saying? There is a bunch more of darkness webs behind that, and he's just being the person that they're using to, kind of like the Epstein situation. So there's a more story towards, man. All I want is prayers and healing for those kids and those families and women and anybody who's really truly affected, man, because it's a sick world out there. And so be careful what you get into financially, career wise, whatever choices you make sure you have him involved. Okay. Another one was Donald Trump, man. Him winning the election was a major event. And the way he got there, being the president, a couple of terms ago, but the fact that him dealing with court issues, he was going to court and getting charged, straight up getting charged for stuff. And then when he was campaigning, the whole assassination attempt. I'm not even going to get too much into it, but I've heard that some people believe there's a conspiracy thing and so on. But man, to me, anything's possible. Like the wars and all that stuff, man. I'm not saying it's not going on, but if you check out a movie called Wag the Dog, if I'm not mistaken, in the 90s, it kind of gives you a little insight how sometimes they could, manipulate the news or whatever that the possibility is. And I feel like there is, man, because we don't own the media. You know what I'm saying? The rich kind of owns the media. So they kind of want us to, they narrate on what we listen to, what we, see. That's why personally, I find my own little journalist. I find my own independent journalists to find people who actually talk a little bit more in depth instead of being a paycheck for Fox or CNN or one of these major news events. So I really recommend you finding your own true news and not just depend on the news that they provide. You know what I'm saying? Because they're only narrating what they want us to hear, see, or believe. But that is pretty much up on the 2024. I'm going to break it next to Aristeo. He's bringing in the sports. I'm sorry, Junior Garza. I am the Aristeo, but I'll be bringing it to Junior Garza right now for the sports. Hey, thank you very much, Adeseo. Junior Garza here, bringing you the sports for the week. We are starting off with NFL just because it's a big part of my heart, and it's week 18, which is a little bit, honestly, a mixed emotions for me. A little happiness and a little sadness. The season's coming to an end, but I love football so much that I wish it continues on, and it will, starting next week with the playoffs. But giving you the week 18 picks right now. I do a little gambling, but I only do a couple dollars here and there, so I don't be losing much. So I don't recommend people gambling if you do have that problem. But if you don't, go ahead and feel free to pick some of these picks. I don't recommend picking what I pick. Maybe go ahead and do the opposite. And reminder, if you do lose any money, don't be blaming me. All right, week 18, starting with the Browns playing the Ravens. I got the Ravens on that one. Then we got the Bengals playing the Steelers. That one's kind of tough, man. Both of those teams, the Ravens and the Steelers, need to win so that way they can win that division. So it's going to be a tough one for both those guys because they might have to keep their starters in a little bit longer. But the Bengals are on fire, so Steelers have a little bit more problems on their hand. Then we got Panthers going to Atlanta. I got Atlanta on that one. Panthers been, off and on the last few games, but Atlanta's a little too strong. Then we have the Commanders going to Dallas. They normally don't have a good games over there, But times are different now, man. They got that fire quarterback who might be winning Rookie of the Year, and I think they might take the Cowboys at home. Then we got the Bears playing the Packers. The Packers are just too much for them right now, and they're playing at Green Bay. I just don't think Chicago could keep up with them. Got Jacksonville playing the Colts. I actually got to Jacksonville on that one just because of Mac Jones a little bit, and Indianapolis has not been consistent this year at all. I mean, Jacksonville, not either, but Mac Jones has been pretty good the last few games. Then we got Buffalo playing New England. That game is going to be very interesting. Last game they played against each other at Buffalo was pretty close, so this time is at New England. I still got Buffalo, though. We got New York playing the Eagles. That's going to be somewhat of an entertaining game if they'll be able to keep Barkley on there. He's actually trying to pass the Eric Dickerson rushing record this year, and it'll be very interesting if they does it against his former team. But who knows? Because they got a spot already in the playoffs, so they're not going to be probably starting their guys too long. Then we have the Saints playing the Buccaneers. I got Baker on that one just because he's on fire right now. The receivers, the running game, the defense is pretty good. And the Saints are just still trying to find their quarterback. Then we got the Houston Texans playing the Tennessee Titans. That's a revenge game, gentlemen. Go ahead and take that W and finish this season strong, okay? Then we got the San Francisco 49ers, who's been plagued with injuries all year. But hey, man, just like NFL, next man up, right? Well, this season hasn't been too successful for them. They're going against the Arizona Cardinals, and them two as well have been in an up and down season as well. Kansas City Chiefs and the Broncos is going to be an interesting game because Kansas City doesn't really need to win this one because they already got the top spot already taken care of. But they want that momentum going in because they're actually going for history. They're going for the third Super Bowl in a row, which is unheard of, first time in history, against the Broncos. And the Broncos are led by the rookie quarterback, Bo Nix, and then Sean Payton with a solid D. So, and they're playing at Broncos. You know what? I'm going to pick that team after all. I had the Kansas City, but I feel after this conversation that we had with you guys, I'm feeling the Broncos. Then we got the electrifying Chargers playing the LA Raiders. Man, Harbaugh's done wonders. He is a magic man. What he's done with San Diego State, Stanford, and then San Francisco, and then he goes back to Michigan, and then he over here San Diego. You guys know every team that he's taken over the year before he had a losing record, and the year that he's taken over, either their winning record or if I'm not mistaken, all winning records. Seattle is actually playing LA Rams. Seattle's out of the playoffs. Rams is barely getting in. So I feel Seattle's going to try to do the whole reckoning their season on that one. Dolphins are playing the Jets. That one is kind of iffy. I don't think it matters who wins on that one, but I feel like the Jets really need it, especially Aaron Rodgers. The game of the day is going to be the Minnesota versus the Lions, mostly because it comes down to whoever wins that game gets that top spot and the number one seed of NFC. All right. So that leads me to the playoffs next week. And yes, I said it, playoffs. So I'm very excited for this playoffs because it's going to be very interesting. There's so many scenarios. Starting off with NFC, like I mentioned, Minnesota and Denver has to play for that top spot. So once whoever wins that game gets that top spot, all right? Then we have the Philadelphia playing Green Bay. Philadelphia's at home, but Green Bay has been playing lights out on away games all season. So that one's going to be interesting, man. I really think I got Green Bay on that one. Then we have the LA Rams playing the Commanders. That one's going to be tough because they are at LA. Washington has to travel across the states, but that rookie, he's something else, man. But to be honest with you, Matt Stafford, with those couple key receivers, they could do something. We got Tampa Bay down south with Baker playing against the loser between Detroit or Minnesota. How crazy is that, man? You're going to be a 12-3 team playing away. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that's just football in general. And with Tampa, you can never count those guys out. Baker, he's the number one draft pick for a reason. You know what I'm saying? AFC, we have the Kansas City, like I mentioned, trying to do history, trying to go for the third Super Bowl they've ever in a row. That's never been done. So that's very interesting. I know people are going to hate on them, but man, to me, that's cool. That's history is being made. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the Texans beating them. But then we got Buffalo versus Denver. That's going to be tough for Buffalo. Just Denver's, like I mentioned earlier, on fire with that quarterback, that D, the coach. But Buffalo, it's their time. I think Josh Allen might win the MVP, even though the next team I was mentioning, the quarterback for them, he has he's a defending champ. So the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, he won last year. He has the numbers to win again this year, but I think we need to share some love because he's already won twice. Then he's playing the San Diego. Uh, that's going to be the Harbaugh Bowl again. All right, you guys, when they coach against each other, you could feel it through the TV. Between the love that the brothers have for each other and for football, it's just, yeah, it's just a beautiful thing. And then we got my favorite team, Houston. We're playing Pittsburgh. Okay, we have history with that city, multiple, even back in the Oilers days. But with CJ coming in with his sophomore slump, he needs to shake things up because uh, Russell could be hot, and then he could be cold. So we'll see with that one. But with that being said, that's the end of NFL there. But I love football, so that brings us to college. College football, man, there's a lot of bowls games going on right now. But with the big buzz that's going around is the playoffs. Okay, first time in history, college here has a 12-team playoff. Before the last 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, there was a 14 playoff. They moved it to 12 teams. The last two rounds was entertaining, but it wasn't it wasn't all the way entertaining to the fourth quarter. Were some blowouts. Now the quarterfinals just happened. Most of those were entertaining, especially the first three quarters. Unfortunately, my team, it was too entertaining, too edge of the seat, if you know what I mean. But we had starting off with Penn State scratching and clawing through the Boise State. I mean, they actually showed and actually proved their full potential. Then we got Ohio State splashing all over the Oregon Ducks. I mean, Oregon Ducks looked like they had the wings clipped, right? Because they couldn't do nothing. And then we had my UT, Texas, Longhorns barely getting one over the Arizona Sun Devils. I mean, the Sun Devils got some dogs in their team. That running back, Scotabo, and then their quarterback, Sam Levitt, he was only a freshman. Man, I promise you, those two guys are going to go into the NFL. Those guys are just ridiculous. Then we got Notre Dame beating Georgia. That game in itself was a big surprise and shocking in multiple ways, mostly because of the accident. I mean, not the accident. I'm sorry. The crazy driving and the loss. 15 people passing away. Lord, please be with that family and for their healing. But man, overall, the quarterfinals was very interesting. I'm very excited for the next round. If Texas plays like they did this last game, they don't have a chance against that Ohio State Buckeyes team. But if they play like they have been playing all year, we should win on that one. The other game, Penn State and Notre Dame, is going to be a very interesting game between those two. Having those coaches having a mix or part of black head coaches, whoever wins, that's going to be the first time there's a black head coach in the championship game in college. I love history, guys, especially things like that. So that's cool, man. We need. Unfortunately, it didn't get done sooner, but hey, the time is now, right? So I really love sports because of that, and that's why I'm a big believer in sports is life. The next part coming into is the NBA. NBA has a strong season right now, man. There's so many teams. The whole team ball has taken over, right? And I'm really excited that because that's how I love basketball is when that team ball, you know what I'm saying? From the first player to the bench, instead of having a couple of superstars just take over all the time. But yeah, man, this season, this is the second season we're having the in-tournament championship. And the Milwaukee Bucks took that one where the LA Lakers took last year's. And to me, man, it's entertaining. It keeps the season going. And of course, there's always, the money aspect of it. But right now in the East, we have Cleveland surprisingly taking the lead on that one. Then we have Boston right behind them. Then New York Knicks, Orlando, the Milwaukee and Miami's finishing on that sixth spot. And then the 7 through 10, I don't know if you guys are aware, but they changed the playoff scenario a couple years back in NBA where the first 6 goes in, gets their spot, and 7, 8, 9, 10 has to what they call is the play-in. So what it does is 7, 8 plays each other, 9, 10 plays each other. The winner of those two plays for the 8th spot because the winner of the 7, 8 gets that 7th spot, right? Well, the loser between the other ones is out. So that's what's entertaining about the NBA right now. And the 7th through the 10th spot on the East is right now is Atlanta, Indiana, Detroit. Yeah, Detroit, I said it, and Chicago. In the West, though, we have Oklahoma City, the Thunder. We have Memphis in second place, Houston right behind them. Then we have Denver, Dallas, of course, and the Lakers finishing on the 6th spot on that one. The 7 through 10 is kind of interesting as well. We got the Clippers in there, of course. Minnesota Timberwolves on there. But the surprising team to me is the San Antonio Spurs. To me, that speaks wonders on what Chris Paul could do for any team. Trust me, he was on the Houston Rockets and he took us to places. The Warriors ended up being on the 10th spot, but you can never count Chef Curry, right? Even though he's a little older, he can still cook. So that is the NBA from there on. The other sports that we'll talk about a little bit more next week. But we have college basketball coming around the corner. It's been, I'll be honest with you, I haven't even been catching up on that. Women's college basketball is on fire. Along with we got soccer, we have hockey being strong. I'll bring some updates on that. And then we have golf coming around the corner for these major tournaments. I'm very excited. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to turn it back to Adi Still for the rest of the show. You guys tune in next week. Enjoy. Peace out. Hey, welcome back. Like I said, man, this is like I mentioned, this is the second part of the show. Thank you very much, Junior, for introducing the sports. That was an awesome segment. I'm very excited myself for sports and the end of the football year because I myself love sports too, and I do believe sports is life, Junior. All right, well, next part of my segment is learn through leisure. Like I mentioned, man, take ownership between movies, art, books, because they are here to create ideas and feelings and allow us to be, yes, entertained, but there's more lessons behind them. Like I mentioned, just like movies and books and shows, there's messages behind them, and there's points that people want them to get. So there's one movie that me and the wife seen. It's definitely in that category. I mean, even the name of it kind of got a little questioning. The movie's called NIGHTBITCH. It's the director is Mariel Heller. She also directed A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood with Tom Hanks and Can You Ever Forgive Me with Melissa McCartney. And so she's also the writer, along with Rachel Yoder. The movie stars Amy Adams, Scoot McNairy, and Arle Snowden. The synopsis of the movie is a mom dealing with the choices one makes when having a child and becoming a housewife. The father is, works and he travels. So he's there, once a week kind of a deal. And then the mom quits her identity to become this mom and wife. And then it deals with her, I don't know, man, I would guess postpartum or hormonal change, along with the outcomes of a stressful, life that one has to deal with. The lack of sleep, the lack of, challenging of the mind, only doing mother and wifey things. So you get in a rut. I seen and I've come across. But this movie was it was really entertaining because of the way it was showing motherhood. Yes, to me it was going through some hallucinations because she started thinking that she's a dog. But talking about a deep meaning, this movie was trying to say a lot more, I felt, than it did. And so I took it pretty strongly. The wife kind of took it interesting. I was asking her questions throughout the movie because I always knew that it was an amazing part of a woman, child labor. Even in college, I took some classes, and it blew my mind of what they deal with. And so I gained so much more respect and understanding and love for, women, in general. But like this movie, it was like a brutal lesson through real life issues and outcomes. Like I was really upset what happened to the main couple in the movie because me personally, like I mentioned, both my parents, I think 8 divorces. So when they were talking about that part, and it was kind of like it really hit home because it was like I could truly see the stress and the frustration. But what I also seen is that, of course, these people did not have the Lord who surrounds them. So to me, I was like, dang, that's the only thing they're missing. Because if I felt like they had a Lord that had the belt around them, it would make them face the problems that they were facing instead of ignoring them. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I kind of love how movies and books come across, because even sometimes the lessons that are not shown, you take it in and you're like, oh, okay, that could have been better off, And so that's how I feel about the movies, man. Another way that we are doing is art, like I mentioned. And so in art, in any kind of way, you can make it about learning something through the Lord and whatnot. One thing that we just recently did, me and the wifey, and then me and the wife and my son and his girlfriend did also, were couple painting. It's kind of like the social media you saw, where the couples face each other, have a wine or a smoke or whatever, and throughout the day talk and stuff like that. And so we took part of the social media when we decided to paint each other without showing each other until the end product, right? But what we had a total blast. I mean, oh my goodness, I couldn't stop laughing. But what we truly learned about these little things is little things that make us happy or insecure about ourselves. Talking about each other's, the nose, the eyes, the hair, the lips, the chin, your skin. I have a pimple, or my eyelashes, or whatever nature. And you're having this conversation, and all you want to do is tell this person, no matter what pimple or what hair coming out of your chin or your hair not done, I love you. You know what I'm saying? I love you for all that pieces. And so once you have that relationship, that painting, yes, it's fun and stuff like that, but you're building your relationship up. And that is what he wants you to do. Okay. So that's what I did, man. That was really fun what we did. So, we take pictures of the paintings. One day I'll post them. I'll have the website going soon, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So that way I could get, postings and pictures on whatever we talked about. So that way it has some contrast on that. But thank God for her beauty, because no matter what she feels, I know that her beauty is her. That's what she makes. That's who she is, the inside, her smile, how she talks. And so that is, he allows me to grow, to know her more ways than I can imagine. And in little things like that, it really does. It does come out, and you really feel the growth in your relationship through those kind of date nights. You know what I'm saying? Next part is message. Like I've always talked to you guys, like I always like to drop some nuggets of knowledge. And this message is really close to me because I had to deal with this. My son, I felt, had to deal with this. So a lot of you guys don't know, and if y'all do know, red dye. Red dye is very, very troublesome for a lot of us, especially kids. And so what red dye is, there's red dye 3, red dye 40, and there's a couple other red dyes, and they're used for food, cosmetics, and pharmaceuticals. They're also used for, for baking goods and stuff like that. But in the U.S., it's been banned in cosmetics in the U.S. And now I was reading that California has its it's the first state that banned it in food. Okay, I mean, it's highly related to the cause of cancer, and then especially through the thyroid cancer one. So I really recommend looking at on the instructions on that. Like I mentioned a couple of shows ago, man, read your instructions on what you're eating. Okay, the less stuff is in your ingredients, the healthier it is. All right. The red dye, chemicals like that, those have side effects, man. Yeah, that cheeseburger might taste good or that Kool-Aid tastes good, but one, that's too much damn sugar for you. And two, that red dye does things to you and your kids that you don't even know about, man. It's the key reason what it does to the behavioral health trigger, okay? It affects it so much. So people like me with ADHD can really be affected by it in any kind of way by not being able to sit down, not thinking, thinking about so much things. So the fact that other countries has already banned it for the use of, any red dyes for food and cosmetic, that makes you think on, what the hell are we doing then? Why is FDA is approving this? You know what I'm saying? So like I said, there's always questions on why people do so, why governments are doing this, especially the FDA, man. And so I know they're here to protect us, but sometimes it makes you think, is it all financially sometimes? Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like it is. Next segment that I want to, well, not next segment, the next part of the message is common sense. Man, I've been saying for the last few years that common sense is not so common these days. I feel a big part of this is due to our generation getting, not gonna lie, man, sugarcoated, getting a little lazy to raise these kids. Instead of trying to be their kids' parents and telling them no sometimes that they need, hey, you can't have that tablet forever. You know what I'm saying? They try to be their friends, their chum, their pals, their homies, but it's not helping them. One, they're hurting themselves, the parents, and two, they're hurting their kid. Okay, because kids need stability. All right, they need to be told the truth every year. Now, don't get me wrong, you can't tell a 4-year-old like you're telling a 12-year-old. You can't talk to a seventh grader like a 7th-year-old like you're talking to a 13-year-old. So every year you gain, you allow a little bit more light of the knowledge of life, the truth. And every year you shine a little bit more light onto that, and then you'll see them be more respectable, be more understanding, be more considerate, thinking of others. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just themselves, or not doing what others want to do because they only are so secluded on only their own way. You know what I'm saying? Because we failed them and giving them all what they want and not letting them know, man, you can't, you don't need that. You know what I'm saying? It's just a want, or you don't really need the new game system. You already have this, two of them already that you rarely play, or it's just stuff like that, man. It's okay to say no. All right. So I feel like that's what we need in our future for our kids. So do us a favor and you know what I'm saying, and be the parent, man. And yes, you can be the friend sometimes, but it's rare in those situations, and they'll come to you when they need that. All right, but 9 out of 10 times, you need to be that parent, man. You need to say no. Okay, it's that tough love. Sometimes it just needs to be done. So I really recommend doing so on that. Next part of my message is what I always tell my people. Anybody that I come across, especially the older people in my family and whatnot. My uncle made me laugh the other day, or actually earlier in the year, talking about what he does now, because how much times I brought it up, is this health, right? I've always preached the mind, body, and soul. Water, breathing, and stretching. If you start doing those three today, okay, and I mean when you breathe in, you breathe in all the way with your nose, and then you go all the way. You feel like there's nothing left in your lungs, and then at the end, try to go a little bit more. Take that little bit extra, breath in your nose. Okay, and the reason why you want to do it in your nose because you have pockets, right, around your nose that helps keeps the air in there. Okay, and so when you're breathing in, it allows you to, have more air, in your head, and then when you breathe out, one single breath out your mouth. Okay, do that a few times, and you'll feel the stress go lower. All right. Along with the drinking water, do you guys understand that in males' bodies we have over 60% water, and over women's is over 55% of the body? Can you imagine that? Okay, look, this is our body. Okay, men, 60% of our body is water. When women, it's about 55%. All right, so both are more than half. So you're telling me that you don't like water? All right, water's inside you, man. So you need to start drinking water. All right, water, like green tea, coffee are really the three things that we should only be drinking. Now with the sugar in this and chemicals in this drink and crazy chemicals on all those energy drinks. Which, do you guys know with the energy drinks, it doesn't really give you energy? Do you know what they really do? Those chemicals go in your brain and tells you you're not tired. You're not tired. Tired's not in your head. But realistically, you're tired. Okay? So that's why when you stop drinking it or when you crash harder because all that time you are tired. You are tired. You are tired. Even though your brain's telling you, oh, you're not tired. You're not tired. You're tired body-wise. And then when that sugar and all that chemical gets out of you, that's why, like I was saying, you crash harder because you're already tired. And then on top of that, you're tired overall because of you're doing whatever you're doing on top of you being tired. You know what I'm saying? So that's why water and is really key in life. And stretching. People don't understand what stretching does. I'll break it down real simple. And again, I'm not no doctor. So you can definitely look this up more. But what it really does to me, what I've been told, is it gives oxygen to your muscles. The blood does. And so just think about buckets of oxygen that your blood is doing, right? And when you're stretching, your blood is giving oxygen and to the muscles. And so it's feeding it. It's getting healthier. And so with the blood, allows it to pump in more in and out. And with the oxygen, it just allows it to rehabilitate and get healthier. And so that's just why a big part of water, stretching, and breathing is key in life. You ask any older person, and you'll see something in that nature of what they've been doing. So as I say, talk to our children straight up about that because it helps them understand what we need in life. Because just like how our lungs need oxygen, certain food needs water. That's how we are. Okay, we need that. That's why you feel when you start exercising, your bones are getting faster and hurt and pain. and it takes longer to rehabilitate because you're not doing what you need to do. All right. So I really recommend doing that on that part. Those are the nuggets for that part. Next parts are just what I'm going to be talking about the next few episodes. I'm going to have the projects like I mentioned, the Mendoza project. It's still full effect. That first part of it is just an interview. We're going to have a couple more interviews and try to guide his life, which way I feel like the Lord, needs him. And he's been a fire on the Lord, man. He's been going to the churches. So pray for that, man. Check out that episode 4. It's a really gem, man. It's a really good way to learn about somebody's motivation and inspiration. The other one that I'm really excited about is the 100 books of purposes. Again, I'm going to give one more week until I get some more information, but here in the next week, I'll be telling what that book is. The main reason why I have not showed what that book is because I wanted to create a project and have it where I'm able to give out books, to my family and friends and to strangers who I feel the Lord is going to come across my life. But I'm not going to even wait for that, man, because I feel like helping people who I can't handle the books right now and they could go get it. I feel I could get, a head start in their life. So I'm going to, air that out next week and talk a little bit more about that. A couple more projects that I want to do is, like I mentioned last time, is a stand-up. I want to do a open mic at the end of my 10 weeks. So I'm looking forward to trying to maybe do a couple minutes here and there on some stage times for some open mics. And that way I could create enough material so I could have a 30-minute hour somewhat of a special somewhere. That's my goal on the next step on this part. Also my book, I've been doing some memoirs. I have a couple interesting subtitles on a couple chapters, but it's just a lot of it. It's just need to get down to it and get down and type in a wording. But pray for me, guys, to keep it going on that part. A couple more of the projects are my interviews. Like I mentioned, I had the Mendoza and American Dream. I'm doing another one with my son's barber. He's a very interesting cat, man. I didn't know about his situation until 2 or 3 cuts into him. So hopefully that's going to go well. But yeah, that's going to be interesting. Other than that, guys, all I have is, the couple other suggestions that I recommend doing. Like the self-growth, like I told you guys, mind, body, and soul. Make sure you find ways to grow in those departments. But I also wanted to introduce, like I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, about Just Ask Junior. Please, guys, give me some questions. Let me know what you guys are thinking, what you guys are dealing with, and that way we can see what we can do to grow together, guys. Because I'm looking forward to trying to help people and shine some light on those dark spots. But what's dark spots do I know? So let me know if you want it to be anonymous. Please let me know. I could definitely do so on that part. Or if you don't care, let me know. We could talk about that over on the air as well. So that way, some other brother says, "Damn, I thought I was dealing with that only situation. Damn, I thought I was all sad because both my parents been divorced, or I thought I was sad because I only have I don't have no motivation or I don't have no purpose." Well, let's figure something out and let's see what we can do, because you giving up and you saying, can't do nothing, well, then you don't really want it. You know what I'm saying? But you finding ways to better yourself, then you're doing what God intended you to do, is to receive that love, because you are loved. So I recommend, checking out yourself on that. But it's about that time, man. I really appreciate the time you guys have shared with me. Like I said, share. I really appreciate it. I really do. And so does he. And subscribe, guys. Make sure you show the love down below in your comments. Tell me what you guys think, good, bad, or the ugly. But I do care, but in a way I don't, because I only care what he thinks, guys. All right. So again, episode 5 dropping tonight. Then we got episode 6 next Friday. Daily devotions daily under all the platforms. Adi Still Jr. Show. Thank you guys for coming out. You guys have a good one. Stay blessed. Peace.